Ever since the motor car was invented, there have been two promises. One, that there will be flying cars, and another, that will be self-driving cars. And both of them ain't never going to happen. Both are a lie. Now, let's just start with flying cars, because you might be thinking, wait a minute, there are some flying cars about, I've seen them, people have talked about them, they're on YouTube. Okay, one-off concepts, yes. Series production flying cars, no. Same goes for driverless cars. Concepts, yes. Actual series production cars which can totally drive themselves, no. It's a lie. And in this video, I'm going to explain why. I'm Matt Watson, and you're watching CarWow.
Buying a new car? Then head to CarWow, and my team will help you find your next car at a fair price. CarWow, your one-stop car buying comparison site.
Let's start this video by talking about Tesla, because if you go on their website and you configure a Model 3, for almost £7,000 you can have what they bill as full self-driving capability. Now, I got my mother a Model 3 and it actually has that option ticked. Is it full self-driving? Well, not exactly. Now, you can get a version of Tesla's Autopilot which will automatically steer to keep you in lane and keep you a safe distance from the car in front. With this upgraded system, not only will it do that, but if you indicate, it will change lanes for you. If you're in America, that system will even allow you to get off at a junction. It will steer the car off a slip road for you. But is it full self-driving? No, it's not. Can it drive you around town without you actually doing anything? No, it won't. Also, that full self-driving capability includes something called Summon feature. Now, what that allows you to do is to control the car using your mobile phone as a remote control. So you can basically drive it forwards or backwards out of a parking space, and it'll automatically steer slowly around obstacles so it doesn't hit anything. However, even though my mother's Tesla has that fitted to it, I've never once managed to get it to work. It's very temperamental, as is the self-driving mode in the car itself. Sometimes it can just freak out because it thinks there's an obstacle ahead when there's not, and will automatically put on the brakes. And that's why actually Tesla, even though they build this system as full self-driving capability, have a disclaimer in it that says, by the way, that doesn't make the car autonomous. Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute, Matt. That's Tesla now, but what about the future? For instance, if you do a bit of research, you can find out that Ford and Volkswagen have done a joint venture to invest $2.6 billion in a tech startup called Argo AI, which focuses on self-driving technology. Hyundai Kia has invested a couple of billion in self-driving tech. Hyundai will be launching their robo-taxi in 2023 and it'll be driving around Vegas. Apparently. Also, other manufacturers such as Jaguar Land Rover, they've invested millions and millions, and Mercedes even bills itself as a pioneer when it comes to autonomous driving. However, don't get too excited because manufacturers have often overpromised and underdelivered when it comes to autonomous driving. Let's start off with Elon Musk. So in 2016, he proclaimed that by 2018, he'd have a Tesla that could drive from coast to coast in America without a driver in it. That hasn't happened, has it, Elon? He also said that by 2020, he'd have 1 million robotized driverless taxis roaming the States. That hasn't happened either. But what about conservative car makers? Well, back in 2016, Ford also said by 2021, we will have driverless cars without steering wheels. Though just 3 years later, their boss then went, actually, you know what? The driverless car thing, we're not going to be able to do it. Also in 2016, BMW said that they too would have driverless cars available to buy by 2021. Have they? Oh no, they haven't, have they? Then in 2017, Volvo, a little bit late to the party, said yes, by 2021, yes, we too will have driverless cars. They haven't either. They haven't. Yeah, there's a theme here. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, while there are some flying cars, they aren't production models. They're just prototypes, concepts, that sort of thing. And it's the same with self-driving cars, like the Hyundai Robo-Taxi. Also, their area of operation is limited. They're not true self-driving cars which can take you wherever you want to go. Those Robo-Taxis will only be operational in Las Vegas. You won't be able to go anywhere else in them. In fact, in the past, any driverless car has actually been geo-fenced as to where it can be operated. For instance, last year, Ford did a test with a load of self-driving Mondeos, but they were only able to drive between 2 train stations in Oxford. That was their route. And they also had to have a driver in them for safety reasons, just in case they actually needed driving. The irony is that the route that they were driving would have taken at least 15 minutes to complete by car, yet for just £2.70, you could get on a train and do that journey in 12 minutes. Now this sort of brings me back to the original point that self-driving cars are a bit of a lie. So it's not fair to call them self-driving cars when they're not really. And safety organisation Thatcham, who get involved in crash tests for various car manufacturers, they've actually complained to the industry about this misrepresentation of exactly what the cars can do. Because what happens is that people think, oh yeah, it is self-driving, they let the car get on with it. There's been cases of people falling asleep in cars with supposed self-driving technology because they think it can just take over for them when it can't. And it's a little bit of a shame really, because the technology and usefulness of these adaptive cruise control systems is actually very good. The one in the Tesla works brilliantly most of the time, and it just makes driving long distances so much less stressful. I've got it in my BMW M3. It's really good. It just steers nicely to keep you in lane, and it brakes to keep you a safe distance from the car in front. It means that when you're driving and you're feeling tired, you're having to use less brain power to just keep on its current course, and you're more just overseeing what it's doing. And then if something happens, you do step in, but it's always there to support you as well. I don't know why they just can't talk up the capability, because they are really useful and they do improve safety. It's when you overpromise that things start to get a little bit problematic. Now, while I think the Tesla's autopilot system is pretty good if you use it properly, somebody called Missy Cummings thinks otherwise. Now, in case you want to know, Missy Cummings isn't a Bond girl. She's actually a senior advisor for an American highway safety organisation called NHTSA. Not to be confused with Nietzsche, though they don't think God is dead, they do think the self-driving car is dead. So Missy Cummings said, I have driven several Teslas. Autopilot easily causes mode confusion, is unreliable and unsafe. So if there's this problem with self-driving cars, why is everyone so keen to do it and promote it? Money. It's always money, isn't it? You see, financial experts have predicted that by the year 2050, the self-driving technology industry will be worth $7 trillion. With all that potential cash to be made, obviously there'll be a lot of companies developing technology to enable self-driving cars. However, computers always have a bit of a problem compared to humans at dealing with random one-off events. They're really good at repeating actions or responsive to known events. Give them something unknown and they're completely flummoxed. The human brain, however, is much better at dealing with unknowns. Also, the technology we have on our bodies is better than you may think. For instance, the very latest and greatest cameras have a maximum resolution of 400 megapixels. Human eye, almost 600 megapixels. And then there's not just the technology that you need to think about, there's the actual surroundings, the environment. For instance, a lot of self-driving cars rely on lane markings, whereas you can just drive down a road in the UK, America, loads of places, and all of a sudden, the markings disappear because there hasn't been enough investment in infrastructure.
Mercedes has just announced that from 2022, owners of S-Classes and EQSs with the Drive Pilot system will be legally allowed to take their hands off the steering wheel and concentrate on other functions using the infotainment screen. But this is still some way off full self-driving. So far, the legislation is only applicable in Germany, only on the Autobahn, and only at speeds of up to 37 miles an hour.
And that actually brings me on to the final point, which is actually the main obstacle to self-driving cars and why they are most likely a lie. And it's to do with the law. You see, ever since we've been able to drive, all the laws relating to driving have assumed that there is a human being responsible for the driving of the car. What happens when there is no human being responsible anymore? Well, first of all, you're going to have to change all the laws, and that's going to take ages. And anything to do with lawyers not only takes ages, it costs an absolute fortune. I mean, what's going to happen in the event of an accident? Is it going to be you, the driver that isn't driving, who's responsible? Or is it going to be the manufacturer of the car responsible? Or maybe it's the company that the manufacturer employed to give them their self-driving technology who's responsible. It's an absolute minefield. Then what about the transition period? You know, as you have new cars with self-driving tech, which can drive themselves, and then you have older cars which don't, and you have a crash between the self-driving car and the human-controlled car, who's responsible then? How will they interact? And do you know what? I think human psychology could come into it as well. You see, we accept that humans aren't perfect. We make mistakes. We forgive humans for making mistakes, but we don't tend to forgive machines for making mistakes. You pay your money for a machine and you damn well expect it to work. You know what it's like when your phone or your computer crashes? It drives you so mad, you want to just chuck it out the window. Could that be the real reason why there'll never be driverless cars and they're a lie? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you want to watch some other videos, click on the windows there. And if you click on that box there, you can go to CarWow to see how much you can save on a new car.